Hey the boys and girls, Lucky here and welcome back to another CSGO video with another episode of Noob to Pro, the series which should help you to get better in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Today's topic, grenades, basically all of them and how to use them effectively. Keep in mind, Noob to Pro is a 3-part series, meaning on Mondays you always get the big tutorial video like this one. Tuesdays, me and my girlfriend will be streaming, I'll be answering questions, and right after that, like an hour later, my girlfriend will be streaming the actual training routine. On Sunday there's usually some sort of a highlight or review of what has been going on over the week, and that's pretty much everything for that. So I'd say let's get right into it. Alrighty, so now let's talk about the grenades that are at our disposal in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. You want to hit B for the buy menu like this, go to the grenades tabs, and we have 5 types of grenades right here. We got the decoy grenade, the flashbang, high explosive ones, smoke grenade, and the Molotov or incendiary grenade on the CT side. I'll also link a video of 3 clicks flip in the description down below that you can check out, because he'll be comparing them a little bit more in detail than I'm right here. Now, right here I got 5 grenades. That's usually not possible. It's only possible because I used a specific console command, which is only possible in like a private game like this one right here. So usually you can only carry 4 instead of 5. This also means you can, for example, carry 2 flashbangs, because that's the only type of grenade which you can, well, take 2 of. Meaning you could have, for example, a HE, a smoke, and 2 flashbangs, and then you will also be carrying 4. Now, right here we got a couple of bots, and they will help us to show what kind of effect the grenades will have on them. So first of all, let's start out with the decoy grenade. So, as the name is already telling us, the decoy grenade is essentially a decoy. As you can hear, it's basically faking the AK sound, like this, and it's doing like a certain pattern. It's very easy to basically find out if it's a decoy or not. However, there's another thing to decoy which not many people know, and as you can see, there's like a little explosion towards the end. And this is also damaging enemies. Same goes for like just throwing it at them. You saw there was like blood right here, meaning that they're also taking damage from that, but only like 1 or 2 hit points, so that's not really much. Now let's talk about our next type of grenade, which will be a flashbang. Now flashbangs are quite awesome because they can blind enemies, and they also for a short amount of time will kind of impact their hearing, meaning that their sounds will be a little bit more blocked by the high-pitched sound. So if we just throw it, we're able to hear the kind of ringing, and that's also blocking out like footsteps and shots sometimes, so this is another handy thing to know. Now, as we can see, when you throw up the flashbang, all will be flashed, meaning as long as they're kind of looking into the flashbang, so for example like we are right here, the screen will just go white. You will kind of hear worse, and that's basically a good way of gaining like an advantage over the enemies. Now our next one is the, as we can see, normal HE grenade, and this is doing damage to enemies. Just like this. So, as you can see, even though I hit him right in the face and kind of landed at his butt, it did not kill him. Now, an HE grenade can almost kill you, but it never actually kills you in 1 hit, so you always need to damage them previously in order to kill the guy. Now, let's talk about another type of grenade, which is the Molotov. Molotov is a little bit more expensive than the HE grenade, but it's only, well, reasonable because it has fire. So it's actually better for crowd control, it's doing damage, so it's also spreading right here. As you can see, it's kind of extending and reaching out to me. So fire is kind of a little more uncontrollable, but at the same time it's there for controlling. Sorry, man. Now, last but not least, we also have something very cool, and that's a smoke grenade. So if we just drop down the smoke right here, we can see the CT is completely gone, no matter like from which side we're looking in. And even though we can see right here, as soon as we're crossing, you can see that the smoke will make us completely blind, so you always have to keep that in mind as well. Smokes are basically like cover, but you can still shoot through them, so you always want to keep that in mind. Goodbye, Mo. But yeah. Let's talk about how you can actually use the specific grenades in a bit, but before we do that, we talk about how you actually throw them. Now, in CSGO, throwing grenades basically has a couple of different options. So if we get out, well, our decoy right here, and we do a simple right click, it looks a little like this. So we're starting right here, and I mean it's an okay distance. Now you can also, instead of just right clicking, hold right click like this, and now watch the hand. If I also hold left click now, so both left and right click, like this, the hand will change its position. And if we throw it now, again letting go of them simultaneously, this was actually a flashbang, sorry, my bad, it will land right here. Meaning that we can now cover a like greater distance. If we go back to our like beginning spot and do a simple left click throw, no, that was actually a decoy this time. we can see it's going even further up until this point right here. So that's also something that's quite handy to know. Then again, you can kind of combine those. So if you're just holding left and right click at the same time and then you're letting go of left and then right, or the other way around, you get kind of a in-between throw, depending on the way you're doing it, like this. So you can kind of vary them. It's really all about the positioning of the hand, how it's looking right now. That's like a long throw, medium, and that's a short one. So you always want to remember that. Then again, if you want to throw it like even further, you can just run with it. So we start right here, and as we can see, it lands all the way in the back right here compared to right there as it was before. And then again, if you also pair that with a jump, you can get it even further like this and cover even greater distances. So that's also another thing that you should be aware of. It's basically always, it's not just the way the grenade is moving, but also the way you're moving, which is affecting it. Meaning, if you got teammates blocking you when just running straight, it will look like this. We aimed right here, but like we got pushed to the side, meaning the grenade will fly right there. Same goes for like walking sideways. It will kind of flow, or better said, fly with you. So keep that in mind to always stand still or like make sure not to be like blocked in any way, shape or form. And that's basically how you throw grenades in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Besides a little small minor tip that I can give you guys as well, and for that we're flying over to the A side on Dust 2. Now, if you're just hiding behind these boxes, and it's actually a trick by Trilux, so I'll probably link his video in the description down below as well, you can kind of throw a grenade like this, a flashbang. Like, that's not very good. You're exposing yourself by jumping up, and it's not really getting over all that much. So you can also just do a right click above it, and this already works out a lot better. But of course it's flying for quite some time. So what you can do now, you can shift or crouch walk. In my case I'll crouch, and then you want to aim down at the floor like this while walking backwards. And you want to aim not completely down but slightly forward, meaning you will kind of get an effect like this. And you see it's kind of bouncing a lot higher. So if we compare this, just a backwards motion, and then just dodging the flash, and the normal one, like this, it's almost like 3 or 4 times as high, and it's covering a greater distance. So that's another neat trick that you can use with pretty much every nade. But now let's talk about some tips, or better said, how to use each specific grenade. Yeah, you guessed it right. I got a P90, so it's time to rush B. So a very common tactic, especially in like pistol rounds or just like weak buy rounds, force buy rounds, is to get a couple of decoys and throw them down at a place where you're not going. So if we're going B, we're actually kind of throwing them over there towards long, and we'll kind of make the enemy, or should make the enemies think, okay, they're coming at long, so they're kind of rotating over from B to long. But of course, as soon as you're getting like above mid-level, no one will basically fall for that, and they will, like here, it's a decoy because it's always the same pattern. So something else that you can also do is just get out your pistol, or better said, like you can, for example, drop your weapon like this, and then throw one. And as we can hear now, it's a Glock. So they might anticipate a Glock rush now, but then you're coming out with a P90 and spraying them down like a cool pro. And this can also work. However, again, it's not my favorite tactic. Now, I partly showed my favorite tactic right here. So usually what I do with a decoy grenade, if I use it at all, because I barely use it, is playing mind games. And by that I mean, if we're rushing B, I actually am throwing all the grenades towards B. I actually don't know if that can, yeah, it can go over there, but like into tunnels and stuff like that. So then we'll see, okay, they're just like fake throwing decoys is probably gonna be A, because they're like playing the mind games here. You get what I mean? And then you'll just rush in, because like there's so many decoys, like the whole team should do that. And then you got just like tons and tons of decoys right here. And this also makes it a lot harder for the enemies to hear your footsteps and stuff like that. So you're just running in, and you could also fire in between that, and then you get in and you got an easy surprise kill. So that's something that I'd like to do with decoys. Now let's talk about flashbangs. Flashbangs are a very essential part in order to kill enemies. Specifically if they have like the advantage on you. For example, they're kind of posted up with an AWP right here behind boxes, and they're just trying to wait to kill you. And you can see the sniper scope goes up to about this point right here. So keep that in mind when we're flying back over here. So what you can do with a flashbang is, you don't want to go out in the open, flash, go back, and then hope that he did not kill you before. And I mean, if the flash isn't here for that long, it's very easy to dodge. So you want to find spots, for example, like right here, name next to this little whatever that is, and then peek with it. And this will basically enable you to, if you fly over here, to flash the guy without him like being able to notice it, because he can't see it if he's a sniper. And again, like if you had a pistol or an AK, he can't see it, but it's just in the air for a very short amount of time, or like watchable for a very short amount of time, which means it's harder to dodge than if it would be flying from all the way here to all the way back onto sight. So that's something that you want to do with flashes. For example, another thing that you can do is like at this little, can't remember the name, you want to throw like somewhere above the A and do a little run, and then it pops right here and you can actually peek right after that. Or you can also just throw it right here and then again peek with it. You basically always want to wait until the nade popped or peek with it, so that it's kind of popping behind you. And for that I also got a tip. It's basically, I showed this one before, you're aiming up at a like 45-degree-ish angle, and then you shift walk and then you do a right click like this. That's how it looks like. Now, of course, as soon as you're letting go of right click and you're throwing the grenade, you actually want to start running. So let's actually get an AK. You want to start running and kind of peek with it. So you're aiming not slightly to where you're going. So if I'm going to this point, I'm slightly aiming next to it. So kind of like this one. And then walking sideways, and then I can peek right with it. And it's popping right behind me, so I'm not affected by it. However, the enemies will be. And this is also that you have something you have to keep in mind. So if we got a bot right here, and he has kind of like a 90-ish degree cone in front of him, like this. Perfect. If a flash is right next to him, you see he won't be affected. Same goes for like if it's behind him. Not really effective. It will basically look like the same as I'm having right here, so you're just close to it, so you get the noise and a short kind of white blink. But you only have to turn away with your like kind of your viewing angle. So if you're throwing one and you're turning only as much away so that it's not kind of popping up on your screen anymore, so this is like to your side, you don't have to turn your back, only like your side, that's already enough to block it out. So if we just watch our mate right here, see, he's not really affected by it. So that's basically the effective range of flashbangs, and that's also like tips how you can use it. Just bounce it off of walls or just anything, or do this peek right here with it, so you can actually make use of that. So you see, he's still blinded up until this point and was able to peek with him, so that's quite effective. Alrighty, now let's talk about smoke grenades. So smoke grenades are extremely important in CSGO because you're basically able to block off certain parts of the map for a short amount of time. So for example, a good smoke from Dust 2 right here is you walk up to this kind of paper and aim right in between these two metal bars and just do a simple left click throw. And I will also link all my smoke grenade videos in the description down below, so you can check them out, because I already covered all of them for all active duty maps. And basically, you want to learn them. Go out, learn them, try to remember at least 1 or 2 or 3 of them for each map in order to be good. You can see, it's completely smoked off. However, you should not forget again, it's still spammable. So just because there's smoke doesn't mean you're safe. You're kind of a little bit safer, but not totally. So you really want to have set smokes. For example, the one that I just did. Like flashbangs can be more versatile, you can just do like the trick and kind of peek with them. However, smoke grenades, they do work better if you have like set smokes. So watch the videos in the description down below and it will help you out quite a lot. And before I forget, yeah, you can do one-way smokes, however I'm not the biggest fan of them, since you're always kind of a sitting duck, and if they just spray into the smoke, you'll kind of, well, screwed. Help, help. Alrighty, now let's talk about our damage grenades, meaning the HE right here and the Molotov or Incendiary on the CT side. They're kind of, well, in the same league, so they're doing damage, and the HE right here is basically doing it at one point of impact. So it pops right there and it damages them. The Molly on the other hand is kind of spreading, so it's more like the HE is definitely for damaging, like if you want to finish off targets or if you want to pre-nade a spot. So specifically this one, if you just aim at this window and you do the throw against the pizza shield, it'll damage the guy who's hiding behind on sight. However, you can also do that with a Molotov, so most of them are kind of in the same category. And if you're flying over here, you can see that it's actually burning out the complete side, meaning it cannot hide here anymore, leaving only this spot, Goose right here, and right here at A ramp, meaning that you do not have to worry about this guy right here, because if he stays in there for the whole time, he'll die. That's basically all there is. And with a nade, you can only like pre-damage him. Like A nade is only there to finish off already damaged targets, like if a guy has been damaged right there, or like the other way around, if you're on site and you've shot like a guy who's just kept peeking right here for a couple of times and just like chug a nade his way, this will definitely get rid of him. However, the nade is really just like a support damage thing, while the Molotov right here is kind of a crowd controller, meaning that if you're just throwing it against right here, you're really making sure this area won't be used anymore. Same goes for like, if you just would be to molly out this part. And once again, as you saw right here, I positioned myself in a way so the guy at Goose, if he had not, wouldn't be able to hurt me, because I just kept running up to this spot, so he wouldn't be able to see me. And it's basically, once again, the same like with all other nades. You do not want to expose yourself, you just want to aim straight at like something and want to bounce it off the wall or over something. You do not want to like get caught out in the open right here with a nade, and then all of a sudden some guy's peeking right here while you're trying to throw it right there and he just kills you, and yeah, you're done. So that's not a good thing. But yeah, that's basically how you're using HE nades and Molotovs. You're kind of pre-damaging or finishing off targets, and you're also gaining space or clearing out spots. Now, last but not least, before I forget, if you don't want to waste your smoke, for example, let's say you're a B player and you want to smoke off tunnels right here, like this. But of course you can only buy one smoke grenade, meaning if you want to cross over B right here and the enemy has an AWPer, you might get tagged, and you do not want that. So something that you can do is you throw the normal grenade on top of right here and then against the wall, and kind of the smoke, dirt that's blowing up will also, well, cover you for a very short amount of time. So if you time it right, you can also kind of use this as a, well, smoke grenade kind of. Well, now for this week's training, I got something else for you once again. As previously, you want to do still the deathmatch, still the surfing, all the other kind of movement, aiming parts and stuff like that. However, this time around, instead of trying to learn the economy, so learning graphs, when to buy and when not to, you actually want to learn the smokes. And for that, I once again linked the smoke videos in the description down below, so you can check them out. I got some for like retaking, some for taking, just basically everything you need to know about smokes in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, so you definitely should check them out and learn them. At least like 1 or 2 for each map. Now, another thing that I want you guys to do is also go to like a private offline server, as I'm right here, and you'll find also the practice config to do that in the description down below. And I just want you to run around, and by having like the what's called the tracer enabled, you'll be able to play around with like flashbangs a lot better. For example, right here, you know, like you can flash it over there if they're rushing out of B, and you'll flash them and you can peek with that, or just throw it against right there and you can also peek with that. So basically finding spots where you can throw the nade and peek at the same time while the enemy is fully blind, and just finding good pre-nade spots or pre-molo spots, basically stuff like that. So that's something that I want you guys to do. Basically just hop around the offline server and try to find your own set of nades. Try to find at least one flashbang and one kind of smoke for all the spots, or best at all the active duty maps that you're playing. And that's something that's also very cool. So yeah, I think it's finished off for now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Do not forget to do your training in order to get up higher in the CSGO ranks, and luckySkillFaker out.